Hello everybody, JGC Anime here, and today we are going to be reviewing Izuru to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon 4, or Season 4, Part 1, or Dungeon Ide wo Matemuru no wa Michikataru Daroka 4. And yeah, this is Part 1 of the two-part season, the first season of Danmachi that two parts. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So, what is the story behind this season? Basically, the way this season starts is that Bell and his crew have been assigned on a mission down the dungeon. They have to go on a little expedition. So along with Bell and crew, along with a few other people that decide to tag along because they were asked to, they go down to the dungeons and go see what's in store for them there. And yeah, that's pretty much how the season starts. And they spend most of their time there in that dungeon, and a lot of stuff happens. So yeah, that's not really going into much, but I don't want to really spoil the story in case anyone might be watching this and want to know if the season's good. So we're just going to stop it at that and move on. So in terms of what I like and dislike, honestly, I really enjoyed this season. Honestly, it surprised me how much I actually really enjoyed it. I was ready to come into another Danmachi season and not really know what to expect, just kind of hop in there, watch it, and move on, but I was genuinely surprised just how much I enjoyed this season. Like, it was surprisingly really good. I really enjoyed the storylines, especially the second one of the two that was covered, and I'm just really excited. And it ended on a cliffhanger, setting up for the second part of this season that I'll probably watch once it finishes airing, and yeah, it was just really good. I am honestly astounded how good it was. I just can't say anything, but I really enjoyed the season. The first few episodes that covered the first storyline weren't bad. They were, for the most part, really solid. But they could have had a bit more oomph to them. But overall, I really enjoyed them. And when we got to the second storyline that this part of the season covers, it really kicked into high gear. Like, oh my lord, I was astounded at just how good it was. I just was on the edge of my seat. I could not stop watching. I was having such a great time that all I could think was, am I really watching Danmachi right now? Like, this is weirdly dramatic, like super intense for Danmachi, a series that is known to usually set up plots that Bell just kind of covers and deals with. And honestly, this season honestly just surprised me so much with how amazing it was. I was super entertained. And I'm really excited to see what part 2 covers, since this first half, these first 1 to 11 episodes were all astounding. I was honestly having such a great time, especially since we actually got to, without spoiling too much, we got to explore the dungeon. And when we got to explore a bit more of the dungeon, I'm honestly fascinated by it, since I've always wanted to see more of the dungeon. In the previous seasons, we don't get to see too much of it. We're just told that some areas are more powerful than others, and that was about it. We didn't really get to look at the dungeon. This was the first season where we actually got to have a look at the dungeon, and honestly, I liked it a lot. I liked the lore of the dungeon, all the different stuff, and it was just really good. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. All the characters were super enjoyable too. I especially like how there were some new characters introduced, such as the character Domo, as well as the other character Luvis, who both of them are like trying to impress the person that works with Bell at the guild, known as Aina. And it even gives confirmation for some stuff that I could talk about in the spoiler section, but it's not a big deal. Overall, I just had a really solid time with this season. I'm amazed at how much I had such a great time. It was a great continuation. As the first season, I haven't already rewatched 3 times now. This is my first time watching it. I loved it. I had such a great time. It was probably one of my favorite seasons of Danmachi in a long time, and I honestly really enjoyed it. But that's all I can really say without spoiling too much, so we're going to hop into the spoiler section now. Here's a timestamp to when the spoiler section will end. If you have seen this part of the season, I'd recommend sticking around to hear my thoughts, but if you haven't, I'd recommend skipping to the end to not get any spoilers. But again, if you have seen it, stick around, and I'd be happy to let you hear my thoughts, and maybe even talk about it in the comments if you want to. So, yeah. I'm going to count off for 5, and we'll enter the spoiler section. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, actually, now that I think about it, not too long ago, I was having this conversation with someone in the comments, and they were kind of like telling me stuff about Danmachi that they skipped in the light novels, and I think they might have mentioned Luvis and the other guy and how they were brought up. Maybe I'd have to go back and read the comment, but honestly, I was kind of surprised at how much I didn't hate their characters. I thought they were just going to be obnoxious and kind of hate on Belle, but no, they actually were perfectly fine with letting Belle help them out, and they were honestly not that bad people. I kind of respected them. And there were a bunch of other characters that really did a good job with their area in the spotlight, such as the character Cassandra, who keeps trying to warn people. She's just like, hey guys, we're gonna be doomed if we do this. And everyone's just like, I don't care. And the only one who really does pay attention to what she's saying is Belle. And she tried to use that to her advantage, being like, Belle will believe me. I'll be able to tell him about the future and we might be able to stop it. But knowing Belle, with the situation that was going on at the time, being that Ryu was claimed to have murdered somebody, Belle just couldn't stand on the sidelines and let that happen. And speaking of Ryu, she was probably one of my favorite characters this season. I thought her whole like serious mode where she was trying to take down members of this group that killed her team a while ago, just the way she was trying to take them all out was super interesting. And then when Belle stands in her way for a bit, that was really interesting too, until he ends up asking her a question, did she kill someone? She says no, and he's just like, okay, I believe you, we're cool. And that kind of like snaps her out of her rage about killing everybody, because she was, happy to hear someone put their trust in her. And I actually don't know the full extent of what she was thinking, but that whole scene was really good. Although my favorite scene definitely in this entire part has definitely got to be the battle against the Juggernaut, which is like this giant monster that appears to kill everybody on these floors who might be doing too much damage to the dungeon. And oh my lord, is that thing a powerhouse. Like honestly, even though I knew Belle wouldn't be able to beat it, after his first fight with it, like literally the episode before, even though I knew he probably still wouldn't be able to beat it, I was still rooting for Belle. I was like, come on, dude, you can do it! You can do it! But as expected, he couldn't actually do it, sadly. But overall, just the episodes, especially episodes 10 and 11, were probably some of my favorites in the whole season. The whole storyline with Ryu and the murder and everything else and all these other things against this enemy, I think his name was Jura. Everything about it was just so good. I could not get enough. I loved it. And those last two episodes especially made an impact on me when Belle lost his arm and literally almost looked like he broke his neck. I was ready to think he was nearly dead. But then I remembered, oh yeah, he meets this mermaid earlier in the season called Marie, I believe her name is. And she, automatically not only heals him up a bunch, but also manages to reattach his arm, which makes me feel a little upset because I thought a armless Belle would be kind of a cool character to deal with, but meh. Sometimes things just work out the way they work out. Honestly though, out of all the characters, the one that really didn't really interest me that much was Marie. Like her whole existence was literally just to heal Belle, and so that way the writer could put Belle in all these dramatic situations that make you think, oh no, is Belle gonna die? But then she just pops in and she's like, yeah, no, I'll heal him up good as new. And that felt a little anticlimactic, I guess, but still, that battle with Belle against the Juggernaut was so good. Especially with the fact that I was really hoping Belle would win, but knew he wouldn't win. And the whole season ends literally with Belle and Ryu ending up on the most dangerous of floors for him and her to be on, since neither of them were strong enough to face that floor. And it's just so good. It was so flippin' good. But it's so hard not to just compliment this season with how well it handled everything. I enjoyed the action, and other than the first storyline's awkward moments, such as that Moss monster, I can't remember its name, being kind of a mediocre villain, and honestly, I was kind of surprised how easily Belle defeated it in the end, where sure, they sucked at defeating it beforehand, but then Belle literally just comes running out of nowhere because Marie tells him where to go and go save his friends. He just automatically just takes that thing out, almost immediately just one-shotting it by enchanting his knife with some kind of fire, and that part was still very action-packed. It was very exciting, but it also felt rather awkward because it was like he ran out of nowhere. I was very mixed on that fight. But again, that didn't even matter in the end because the next storyline with Ryu and the murder and stuff and how Belle almost died, Yeah, it was definitely like beyond what I expected. Honestly, I was astounded and loved that part of the season, and that's why I'm very excited to hop into part 2 once it finishes airing. And yeah, it was just really good. I have nothing but positive stuff to say about this, other than like the few negatives I have been giving. But yeah, I just have a lot of positives to talk about with this series. I have mostly positives for this season. It was a very solid entry, and I'm very happy to continue watching. And I'll even probably pick up the light novels and manga later on and read those as well, and I'm looking forward to those as well. All in all, I didn't really have any problems with it. Or at least, not too many problems. Definitely one problem I think I haven't brought up yet is Marie. I am very mixed on her character. I didn't hate her, but she felt like a kind of random addition. She's one of the Xenos, and while I do like the fact that I actually didn't think about this until now, I do love how the Xenos, I originally thought they were just gonna kind of go back into the dungeons and Bell wouldn't think about them again and just continue his adventure, but no, now they are driving his story, and I really like that because he wants to help the Xenos. It's said that if he travels deeper in, he'll probably be able to help the Xenos with that, and that's why I really like that the Xenos have become more relevant. It turns out they weren't just a random side thing. It turns out it has shaped Bell's story, and I really like that. And overall, I did like what the Xenos were doing. The only thing I still feel conflicted on is Marie as a character, as up to this point, she hasn't really done much more than get scared, hang out with Bell for a bit, and after she did that, it was literally just, oh my gosh, Belle, you defeated the one monster. I love you, you're awesome, cool. And just kind of heals him. That's basically all she does. She heals him and asks him to fight monsters. She's a character. I definitely feel like Weene had a lot more impact than her, and I don't know how to feel about Marie yet. She's definitely more of a side character in the story, and I don't hate the idea of seeing what we might have in store from her next, but she's definitely one of the weaker characters in this season, and I kind of wish we knew more about her rather than her just being the side character who heals up Bell whenever he gets too injured. But yeah, overall though, I did love this season, especially the cliffhanger ending where Bell and Ryu are now trapped on a much lower floor beyond what their skills are able to use, like beyond what they're able to do, and they're just trapped there. I don't know how they're going to get out, but we'll find out probably in the second part of season 4. So, yep, that's all I have to say. So, we're at the conclusion of this video. And what are my final thoughts? I really liked this season. I thought it was very fun, entertaining, and kept me excited throughout the entire thing, and did a great job of continuing the story of Danmachi. As such, I'd like to give Danmachi Season 4 Part 1 a 9 out of 10. With a few issues here and there, it was very solid, and probably one of the best things from Danmachi I've seen in a long time. Or a short time, because, you know, it's only been a few months since I started rewatching these, but you get what I mean. So, yeah, very good season, had a very good time, and I'm very happy to have rewatched it. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. If you're new to the JGC Anime channel, don't forget to subscribe. I always look for new anime fans to the channel, and I will see you all around. Peace!